Thomas and Friends Storytime Collection. The Lost Crown of Sodor, based on the Railway series by the Reverend W. Awdry, illustrated by Tommy Stubbs. It was a busy day at Brendam Docks. Thomas and Percy were shunting trucks. One of the trucks bashed into Percy's buffer and tipped over. A crate fell out and spilt open. "Look!" peeped Percy. It's a metal man. It's a metal man. A robot." "Silly," Cranky grumbled. "It's a suit of armor, like a knight used to wear." "Cranky's right," said Sir Topham Hatt. In the old days, the island of Sodor was ruled by kings. The most beloved was King Godred. He lived in Ulfstead Castle and wore a golden crown. The crown disappeared long ago. Sir Topham Hatt said that the ruins of Ulfstead Castle could be seen on the east of Sodor's estate. The next morning, Thomas delivered a crate to the Earl's estate. There, he met Millie, the Earl's narrow-gauge engine. If only I had King Godred's golden crown," the Earl said sadly. Oh dear. Over the next few days, Thomas, James, and Percy made many deliveries to the Earl's estate. Thomas saw his friend, Jack the Digger, there. I'm helping the Earl restore Ulfstead Castle," Jack puffed. "So that's his plan," whistled Thomas. When Thomas, Percy, and James were shunting containers, Thomas saw a flatbed holding a very large crate. The Earl said it was a special delivery for the steamworks. He climbed into Thomas's cab, and the three friends pulled the crate to the steamworks. When they got there, a gantry crane lifted the crate to reveal an old engine named Stephen. His wood was worn, and he had rust holes in his boiler. He hadn't run in years. "Surprise!" the old engine peeped. Victor said he'd have Stephen fixed up in no time. The Earl told Thomas he had a special job for Stephen. "But it's best not to say anything yet." "I won't say a word," said Thomas. "I promise." Victor worked quickly. Soon, Stephen was as good as new. "You look really useful again," Thomas peeped. Stephen had told the engines about his early days. "I worked so fast, they called me the Rocket," he said. But what job would he do now? As the others rolled away to work, Thomas saw that Stephen looked sad. So Thomas broke his promise and told Stephen that the Earl had a special job for him. Stephen was very excited. Thomas, James, and Percy steamed to the Earl's estate. Inside the castle walls, they were amazed to see a giant platform on the rails. The Earl called it the Traveler. "You three will move the Traveler into place for the men. You must be very careful to keep the platform stable." Meanwhile, Stephen wanted to know about his special job, so he rolled off to Brendam Docks. "There's no work here for an old engine like you," Cranky said. Well, that was very rude, Cranky. Next, Stephen went to Blue Mountain Quarry. "We can always use help," Luke peeped, but the trucks Stephen tried to pull were too heavy. He steamed and strained, but they wouldn't move. "When I worked in a mine, the trucks weren't this heavy," said Stephen. "Are there any mines around here?" Skarloey told him that there was an old mine near the castle ruins. "I don't think anyone works there now," he said. Stephen found the entrance to the abandoned mine. He sighed. "There's no job on this island for me." "I am sure there is, Stephen." Nearby, Thomas was working with the troublesome trucks. Suddenly, the trucks slipped loose and roared down the hill, right toward Stephen. Stephen had no choice but to push into the mine. His funnel hit the roof and fell off. Rocks crashed down behind him, sealing up the entrance. Stephen searched for a way out. He crept around dark bends and through empty tunnels. But the tracks just went in circles. The only thing he found was an old wooden crate. Thomas and Percy searched for Stephen. At the entrance to the old mine, Thomas saw something familiar lying on the ground. It was Stephen's funnel. Thomas chuffed away to get Jack the digger. Jack cleared the mine entrance, and Thomas raced in. "Stephen! Stephen!" he peeped. Stephen heard Thomas, but he was too weak to move or even whistle. Finally, Thomas turned a corner and saw a welcome sight. Thomas pushed Stephen out of the mine. The Earl was there to greet them. "I found a big wooden chest in the mine," Stephen said. "Wonderful," the Earl exclaimed. "But first, we must get you ready for tomorrow. You are an engine with a special job to do." The next day, an excited crowd gathered around Ulfstead Castle. "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Engines and coaches," said the Earl. "Let me introduce my special steam engine, Stephen. He and Millie will be happy to show you the grounds." Stephen's new funnel glittered like gold. It reminded Thomas of something. Stephen found something that I thought was lost forever," the Earl said. "King Godred's long-lost crown." Thomas realized what Stephen's funnel looked like. A crown. The engines cheered for Stephen. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but he was really useful. And today, he was a king. So, if you found a long-lost crown, what would you do with it? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, you do not have to be born into royalty or adopted into royalty to be king of anything. You can be king of whatever you feel you are. The king of creativity, imagination, or any special talent. Just do not let it go to your head, okay? See you later. Bye.